Hey guys, bad news, we're still in this room and it's still the same night as the last time I recorded. It's echoey, the lighting is poor, we're walking. It's time for Top 5 Wednesday, and you know what that means. Top 5 Wednesdays were created by Ginger Reed's Lady. She used them for BookTube. We're using them for video games because we can. We hijack shit like that. There are links in the doobly-doo to the Goodreads for topics and such. As is almost always the case, this particular Top 5 Wednesday is brought to you by me, PC Julian Greystoke, and is not the opinions of the rest of Pariahcast unless otherwise noted. Keep peer pressuring the rest of Pariahcast until a few more of them do these Top 5 Wednesdays, because you guys all know what my favorite video games are now. You probably can guess half the time what I'm going to say. Anyway, today's Top 5 Wednesday is Best Character Arc / Character Development throughout a game. This is kind of interesting because in a lot of games you get really interesting characters, but do they grow and change over the course of the game? I managed to track down 5 characters that I feel like did that. Let's list them in order from 5 to 1, as is the usual thing we do on Top 5 Wednesday. My number 5 slot goes to Reese from Tales from the Borderlands. It's a little bit of a caveat here for Reese to change from the corporate tool that he is at the beginning. The player needs to help him because he can stay pretty much just as much of an asshole as he always was. But you can also turn him into a nice guy and really help him grow and develop into somebody that's actually kind of okay. And so I give points to Reese because he does grow and develop if you give him the right, nudges in the right direction. It is always tough with player characters when you're given a lot of choices to make through the game because you can grow the characters so much more. But a lot of these aren't going to be like Reese, so I think he's kind of the only one that is kind of in this situation, which is probably why he's at the number 5 spot. Number 4 is Cloud from Final Fantasy VII. I know he doesn't grow a great deal, and how much really can you grow when you never say anything? But he does kind of start out the beginning as, I don't know if I'd say timid, but a lot less sure of himself and a lot more sort of scarred by what went on in his history, and he slowly grows and develops into more of a badass throughout the story. And I know growing into a badass is a pretty common character arc, but I didn't want to ignore Cloud because his game is pretty old now and you didn't see it too much character growth in older RPGs, so points for you, Cloud. Number 3 I had to include because it made me smile, and that is GLaDOS from Portal 2 specifically. GLaDOS is a homicidal robot, but in Portal 2 she gets turned into a potato and actually maybe grows and changes just a little bit. In the end, she ends up letting Chell go, which I don't think GLaDOS from Portal 1 would have done at all. So I definitely feel like GLaDOS has grown as a person. Tato. The number 2 spot actually goes to a group of characters, and that is the characters from Persona 4. Again, Persona 4 is the only Persona game that I've played a great deal of, and all of the characters in that are not only developed, but they can learn and grow throughout the game, and you can kind of influence that a little bit. Some characters learn and grow more than others, and mostly they grow because they learn about themselves and who they are, but it is really fun to watch. And they really do develop at least a little bit, and they definitely are some of the most complex characters in RPGs, especially like JRPGs, where often the characters are just confusing. Complexity and confusing are not the same thing, Japanese game creators. And my number 1 spot goes to my number 1 guy, and that is Morden Solus from Mass Effect 2 and 3. Morden starts out 100% certain that he is correct in his modification of the genophage and what he has decided to do to the Krogan people. And while you don't get to see a lot of his really important character growth, because it kind of happens between games, Morden changes his mind. He learns from what he has done and comes to understand that what he did to the Krogan people was wrong and he has to correct it. Now this might be a little bit different if you don't keep Rex alive, but I always do because it's fucking Rex. And who lets Rex die? I mean, let's just be honest with ourselves. The only reason you did it, if you did it, was to see what would happen. You know it's true. So Morden essentially goes from evil scientist to guy who sees the error of his ways and sacrifices his life to correct them. And if that's not character growth, I don't know what is. Okay, so that was my top 5 character growth / arcs. What characters do you think really grew and developed throughout the course of the game? I'm not just talking characters who, you know, you find out are really complex as you go, but characters who start one way and become another way, even if it's kind of subtle. Leave a comment below, let me know what you think. And I will see you guys all again next time on the next Top 5 Wednesday, when hopefully we'll be back in our usual room and we won't have to deal with all of this echoiness and all of this shadowiness. I'm sorry. See you next time.